that's going to make. But the really exciting thing for the Armoured Corps at the moment is you've got new toys coming along, haven't you?
Absolutely, and as if by magic this will link on nicely, because when we do invariably break those new toys, we have to use what you see in front of you here. So it may look just like a truck. This is a man from the SV or support vehicle family. You can tell it's the SX or Extreme Mobility model because it's got 8 wheels. More specifically, this is the SVR, so Support Vehicle Recovery. Multiple things it's got on there to enable us to recover the broken tanks, or not quite tanks, but broken vehicles that you see there. As it's driving round, you see on the front the smaller winch. That is a winch that is for self-recovery. So if that were to ever get stuck, it's going, so it's 8-wheel drive, it's designed to get through the worst terrain. That's what it's going to use to pull itself across. Looking on top of it, you'll see the Atlas crane. Now that Atlas crane is designed for lifting vehicles. It can take about 15.5 tonne, and if it's going to be used in conjunction with another vehicle, it's capable of taking the turret off of a Challenger 2 if needed for repair. Also at the rear, the main pulling force, as it were, is its winch. Okay? When used in a standard 1x1 configuration, that winch is capable of pulling up to 25 tonnes. If in a 2x1, then it's going to be taking 50 tonnes. So the people that are crewing that vehicle are the recce mechs, or recovery mechanics, from the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. Okay, recce not for reconnaissance this time, for recovery. These guys are good at recovering vehicles. Their map reading skills sometimes leave a little to be desired.
And we've got some interesting guys from the REME there with them today, I gather.
Absolutely, yeah. So today, driving that vehicle, we've got Corporal Glasgow, solid Northern Irish lad, and then little Steve in there as well.
So these are like the Army's Tonka toys, big meaty bits of kit for that way. So wheeled, obviously, it's got certain amounts of access, hasn't. If you're going to recover something off the battlefield and there's still mess flying around, you're going to need, I've lost it, where's it gone? We've lost the next vehicle hiding is
a craft. So Challenger Armoured Repair and Recovery Vehicle. So for anything that can't take, this is what we're getting. And you'll see the additional ERA armour on this one. This is designed to pull out a Challenger 2 in full regalia. Nickname of Resurrection, this one. Multiple features available. What you'll see at the front there, primarily, and that makes the best show, is the dozer blade. Okay, that dozer blade is capable of crushing things. It's very good for building shell scrapes to get in, but more importantly, if you were to lift it a little more up at that degree, it's actually very comfortable for sleeping on. Similar to the SVR, it's got an Atlas crane on the rear of that. That crane, however, is not as powerful as the SVR. That crane is there solely to lift the back decks or the pack out of a Challenger. About 6.5 tonnes is what that can lift. Once again, it is crewed by recovery mechanics of the REME. Being as heavily armoured as this is expected to push forward under fire. Whilst it's a combat support vehicle, it can withstand some fire. And in fact, there are a classic example is that of 2006, where Staff Sergeant Lyndhurst of the REME was actually awarded the Military Cross for actions. A Challenger 2 had become stricken in Iraq, and under consistent and prolonged small arms fire, RPG fire and mortar fire, was able to recover the vehicle, stop it being decommissioned, or worse, be captured, which would have a terrible psychological effect on us. So quite rightfully deserve the Military Cross there. So whilst they are support soldiers, they are very definitely frontline when they're supporting tanks, because if we're there, we need them there to support us as well.
And I always think this is a vehicle that, it sounds a daft thing to say with military vehicles, but boy does it look the part.
Absolutely, yeah. Based on a Challenger 1 hull, it's had the upgraded HM54 parts fitted to the engine. It looks aggressive, it is aggressive, it's there to pull tanks out of trouble. That's what it does, and it is one of the best sounding vehicles I think we have. Classically, it will have a 2-person crew, the driver and the commander. One of those will be the recovery mechanic. There is room in the back for a 3rd person. There'll be a different craftsman, maybe a vehicle mechanic, a technician, but there will always be 2 seats available in the rear for the crew of the stricken vehicle. It allows them to recover.
And looking at vehicles today, one of the other things, so we've seen Iraq, Afghanistan, etc., but the idea of the potential for urban warfare, we're going to need dozer blades on everything to clear the path so we can go through things. So I'm really impressive with again that extra armour that was added on. Reactive armour, explaining?
It would be, yeah, clearly it's not ER8 coming around here,
yeah.
but it would absolutely be reactive armour, so it gives you that protection against chemical energy.
Okay, so our next vehicle coming on, take us through. Obviously a bridge layer, what do we call this one?
Absolutely, so this is Challenger 2 Titan Armoured Bridge, Armoured Vehicle Launch Bridge. There's a reason we just call it Titan, okay? Part of the T2 series of vehicles manned by the Royal Engineers. You've got the Titan, which is the bridge layer, and the Trojan, which you may have seen last year, which has the mine cloud and the scenes, all of that. This vehicle is a hugely important asset enabling us to carry on with manoeuvre warfare. That is the movement, the free movement of our forces at pace. To be able to strike with speed and precision. Evidently, it's got a big bridge on there. It is capable of carrying a number of different bridges. The one on today is a number 10 bridge. It's got a span of 24.5 metres, and what you're hopefully about to see now is that bridge get deployed.
So obviously, traditionally, we can just go back in history, rivers are still being used as defensive lines. So if you've got an armoured force, you come to a river, you can't cross it, you're going to need pontoons or something. And the idea of being able to deploy a bridge of this scale in the time you're going to see means your force can continue. And as we've been following what's going on in Ukraine, river lines are still being used for defence there. So we know these are going to still be very important assets to the army. Obviously, they are precious assets. So you guys are going to really have to look after these, aren't you?
Absolutely. So in an armoured battle group at this point, if this was pushing forward and there was the slightest chance that there'd be any form of resistance, this would be sandbagged in effect with a troop of tanks. So 4 tanks would be protecting this vehicle. At the end of the day, we have fewer of these than we do tanks. This is it's a high value target for the enemy. So you'd have 4 tanks physically protecting it at this point. Further away, you'd have tanks in Overwatch, which would be not necessarily looking at the bridge crossing. That's what the tanks there are doing. They're going to be looking into the far distance to ensure there's no threat coming in from further away. Now, as we see it going down, you can tell this is the number 10. Okay, not just because it's that size, but it's the scissor bridge action. None of the other bridges, we've got a number 11, which is a 14.5 metre span, and a number 12, which is a 12 metre span. They're just single bridges like this. They don't flip out. Hugely important, as mentioned, manoeuvre warfare. That's what the army focuses on at the minute, and that is what the British Army is and has traditionally been very good at. We're not the biggest army in the world, but we can move very effectively. As this bridge is going down, you're going to have more reserve forces in the rear ready to push forward. Generally, that's known as a bridgehead force. It will comprise of armoured infantry in Warriors, 510s. So as soon as this bridge is down, the infantry are going to push over the bridge. They're going to push out about 500 metres to a K on the other side, set up that defence. Because they've got man-portable anti-tanks, we can set up our own anti-tank screen. We really own that. And as soon as they've gone out, the breakout force of tanks will then push over. And these will push another tactical bound over. We're creating that ring of steel, we're supporting the Titan, we're protecting it, because as soon as this is laid, this is going to disappear back, possibly pick up another bridge, or if this is secure, it will sit close by, ready to pick up and go forward.
So just an opportunity to mention, and again from our point of view, many people here will have read the news, what's going on in certainly places like Ukraine, etc. But this idea, now in the future, this may well be happening at night, because so much of what we're going to see in the future is going to be covered. We've got a drone flying at the moment, filming. But just do not believe the myth that this is the end of armour. Why the Russians are taking more tanks out, why we're looking as well at the British Army is still investing in armour. It's still a crucial thing. Just think of it, First or Second World War, when air power comes in, we are interested. You know, now the drone is that new air power. we've got to find ways of defeating it. We're doing that already, recognising those things. So it's just don't think these vehicles are redundant because one or two new paper headlines. Now, what have we got?
So, as a direct requirement for the Snatch Land Rovers, we have the Jackal. Okay, this is more specifically a Jackal 2. It's our reconnaissance vehicle, designed for deep battle space reconnaissance and strikeability. So this will work well ahead of the main force. For example, let's say that bridge has been laid, but we don't want to push forward. The Jackal might then go heading forward many kilometres to scout that area out in front of us. You can easily identify this as a Jackal 2, not an original Jackal, because the gunner's ring is set slightly further back. The Jackal ones, they are further forward. For the Jackal 2, it's set in the middle there because it allows a 360-degree range of fire. Also, you'll note jacked up suspension there. Air suspension that can raise about 18 inches. When it's up high like that, it allows you to cross difficult ground, or when it's going to be used in a fire support role, you can drop it right down almost onto the axles for a stable platform, because on top of that you can have a 50 cal machine gun or indeed a grenade machine gun. It can actually put some fire down even though it is a reconnaissance vehicle. As we all know, speed is the best armour in certain situations. It's designed to get out of trouble, but if it comes across an infantry section, it's got more than enough firepower to suppress it.
And this idea that we've got this, again, going back to Afghanistan, Iraq, but it's the idea why we haven't got an enclosed cab is that sense of visibility, that sense of being able to look around everywhere. And again, the speed of this, those exercises from Germany to Poland, etc., these can whip down the autobahns and suddenly appear in a place very, very quickly, and then with their off-road capabilities disappear off-road into another area. So
absolutely. Most recently, the biggest deployment has been Op Newcomb, which was the UN peacekeeping force out there in Mali. In fact, the driver there, we've got Lance Corporal Young, has been out there working alongside Foxhounds as well. That ability to operate for up to 10 days if they've got the correct fuel load. The six-wheel variant, the Coyote, of course, the Sergeant's vehicle, 10 days, 500-mile radius, operating independently is perfect for the deserts of Mali.
So again, we're looking at now one of these vehicles. We can see it. Normally you wouldn't be able to see this, of course. We're looking at Ajax, another vehicle now just coming into service.
Yeah, so if we're thinking in terms of the battle space, Jackals are out ahead, your Ajax is going to be filling that gap behind. Fresh off its debut last year, the Ajax family of vehicles. This is the Ajax, the gun variant of it, designed as a recce and strike vehicle. So not a recce vehicle, not a strike vehicle, it combines both. Doing that, it is in effect the most advanced medium armoured vehicle of its type. A massive upgrade of its cultural predecessor, as it were, which was the CBRT series. The 40mm cannon on there is capable of up to 150mm of penetration at 1,000 yards, which is a massive increase in firepower over the 30mm cannon you'd have seen on the Ravens just. What does that mean? Well, with the advanced sensors on it, we can now spot the enemy from further away. In effect, doubles our recce standoff. We are able to see the enemy from twice as far away, and that point means we can feed the information back, or with the new cannon, the improved armament, the improved armour, we can actually push forward and engage that enemy. So we've gone from recce from stealth, which this can still do, to recce by fire. It really opens up the playbook to the battlefield commander as to how he wants to fight the battle.
So we used to say reconnaissance that way, kicking the anthill, as in wake them up, fire a few rounds, get them going that way. But this has got some very, very sophisticated bits of kit on it, hasn't it? Some I know we can't talk about, some we can. So, for example, the acoustic suite.
Again, acoustic suite, the theory being it can pick up anything from a lot further away. You hear something going, it can tell you the vehicle, it can tell you where it's coming from, which means you as the commander have the ability to decide the best course of action. Yes, it's big. We know that. It is a lot bigger than our traditional recce vehicles. But the soldiers aren't designed to get off this. They can stay on this. They don't need to get off onto the back decks with binoculars, advanced sighting systems, better imagery, night sights, all that kind of stuff that used to be manhandled into the Scorpion, into the Scimitar rather, is now part of this vehicle. And it sounds utterly fantastic.
And this is part of a family, so there's other variants for other roles on the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first ones, my regiment has been relatively lucky. We weren't the first ones, but we've got some Ajax out on Salisbury Plain now. And we've also got the command variant, the Athena. Our current commanding officer is one of the most dyed-in-the-wool tank men I've ever met. He is smitten with Athena. He's using it because he's got the access to everything that he needs. We've also got Argus, which is going to be the engineer version, Apollo, a whole host of them. Everything we used to have from the CBRT, the Spartans, the Samaritans, we're now going to have with Ajax.
So an old favourite coming on now, this is Megatron.
Absolutely, yeah. This is our baby down at ATU, so-called Megatron because of all the trials, all the transformations it's gone through. We thought Megatron was a suitable name. Dressed up this time in a Barracuda and bar armour attire. It's pretty much OES standard with a little bit of TES thrown in. What's there to say? It's the British Army's main battle tank, third generation main battle tank, composite armour, fully automated, fire control system and a stabilised turret. Up on the top there, what you'll see is the bird table, as we call it there. That is all ECM based. Again, at the front, if you see the two antennas, this is all designed to stop IEDs. It can block out those radio signals for signal detonated ones. For those of you that were misfortunate enough to come and listen to one of my ammo talks earlier, we know it's got the rifle gun. The rifle gun is what makes it British. We've got the rifle gun because we still like firing cash.
Now, one of the things we often talk about Challenger is the levels of protection with that chopper armour and the extra armour added on. And you know, you don't want to tempt fate, but boy have we been lucky in the sense that we haven't lost a crewman in a Challenger because of that confidence it can give a crew as well.
Absolutely. I think one of the most popular questions you always get asked is, what's your favourite tank? What do you feel best in? It doesn't matter what nation you are, I hope that your favourite tank is the one that you are. I can say that unironically because I know the protection we have there is still the best in the world with all of that. And yes, I know that vehicle better than others. You could show me a brand new tank tomorrow, I'd still rather take that one because it's proven track record in effect.
So those of you, again, the idea, you know, is a tank going, no it's not. One day in the future you'll be coming to Tank Fest and we'll be showing you Challenger 3. So again, at the moment they're going through a build process and a conversion process will be going on. You guys are testing some of the early prototypes, aren't you, up the road?
Not my team directly, but yes, Challenger 3 development is well underway.
And the standard of protection on that, next generation chopper armour, this fantastic British invention from back in the 1960s, the new smoothbore gun, interoperability in terms of ammunition, so we're not alone in having to make still expensive stuff ammunition, but you know, the fact we can now use other countries' ammunition as well in the smoothbore. But obviously Megatron has been the tank that you guys have been playing with over the years, adding absolutely everything. Most of them in service don't look like this, do they?
Absolutely, you're correct. However, every tank in service can look like this. Yeah. It's just a series of add-on things. There's some little bits and pieces on the inside that are a little bit different, but this is the beauty. It's like a tank from building blocks. You can scale the survivability to how you need it. I'll pick up on your point about the ammunition interoperability. Deployed in Estonia and Opka, we've been in the Baltics now for quite some time. That is the biggest thing I think, looking forward to Challenger 3, we're going to appreciate the fact that whether it be the French or the Danes out there, if the flag went up, we know battle replans are possible because we're going to be using the same ammunition.
So one of those things, keep a watch this space, and I'm saying that for really good reasons, because armour's still big business, and this is another cracking vehicle, British vehicle, still in service at the moment, but not necessarily for the role we thought it was.
Absolutely. So for the spotters amongst you, you will notice that this is indeed not a Warrior 510. This is actually a Warrior 514, okay, which is a mechanised artillery observation vehicle. How do we know that? If you look carefully around though, it's only got 2 antennas today for the radios. There are space for 4 antennas there. Why has it got that many? Well, because this is what the artillery use to confirm and direct fires on target. Instead of the battle picture, this is going to sit just behind that line of tanks. The tanks could push forward, a recce vehicle could push forward, call for artillery. It's going to need confirmation for that artillery. So the commander's primary role in this is to command the driver. The person who would be sat in the gunner's seat is the fire controller, but you need 2 people to confirm that. So what he's going to do, the operator will find the target, the commander will then confirm it. Now, interesting point there, yes, it looks as though it's got the 30mm Radin cannon. It doesn't. That is a dummy gun on the front there. The dummy gun is there to make it harder to spot, because it is a high value target with what it does, but because we've got all the additional imagery and radar devices in there, there isn't room for the breach in the back, or rather in the turret. In the back you'll have an additional 2 members of the Royal Artillery. These are more signals based. We've got man-portable radar systems out there. We've got things that can work out the lay of the land, laser designate things. Only 58 of these were produced, so it really is one of the rarer variants. As ever, no expense spared here today, bringing you that. We've probably had the details about Warrior previously, what it was designed for initially, to keep up with the modern tanks. Challenger 1 originally, moving on Challenger 2. Still in service, even the 510s are still in service, and they're still a vital part of how we do our work as armoured soldiers, because they're the only vehicle that can really keep up with us.
And the idea is going to ultimately the IFE version with the infantry in the back, that's going to be Boxer in the future, which is on the horizon.
Yeah, again, I've seen little bits of Boxer, very impressive vehicle. It's a lot bigger than you give it credit for as well when you see Boxer.
Yeah.
You touched on it yourself earlier though, the beauty of Boxer is that will drive across Europe if needs be. It can drive on the roads and it's quick. It doesn't have the same logistical demands, the supply chain, the cost involved in moving an armoured battle group. If it's wheeled, it's more rapidly deployable, more manoeuvrable.
And speed, as we can see here, speed itself, we said it earlier, it's a protection. The quicker you are, the way onto the battlefield, off the battlefield, the less chance the enemy have got. Warrior always like telling the story, the engine was actually developed from the starter motor for a destroyer, and you know, it's got that welly behind it, get there quick, stop, offload your infantry, get out of trouble. So still are now being used in a recce role as we're getting our new Ajaxes into service, taking over some of the CBRT family. Now, we've got a fantastic collection here of some very interesting vehicles. We're going to let them do a couple of laps, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can see the sort of power they've got. Just before we can't be heard, give them a round of applause. This is your army. These are the people that are going to have to go to places. Politicians you voted to power, so own them. gentlemen, we're going to park the vehicles up. You'll be able to take your photographs of them from the other side of the wall there. Do ask the crews if you've got the opportunities. These are the guys that are doing it for real. If you want to know what they're up to, what it's like in the modern army, what they think of their careers, ask them that. And also, of course, we've got some of the recruiting stands here. You know, do show the support. And I know Corporal Wright at the moment, single guy, it's his birthday today. He's all lonely, so do talk to him, young ladies, if you happen to be there at the end of all this. So thank you so much for coming along. And please, ladies and gentlemen, do give a last round of applause. Thank you.